He was a king of cool, a Hollywood rebel who lived life at full throttle both on and off the screen. Steve McQueen, with his piercing blue eyes and fearless attitude, wasn't just an actor. He was an icon of style, speed, and raw charisma. But beyond the fame, fast cars, and blockbuster roles, there's a deeper, untold story. A story of humble beginnings, relentless ambition, personal demons, and the abandoned house that stands today as a haunting reminder of his incredible yet turbulent life. Stick around as we uncover the man behind the myth and reveal the highs, the lows, and the lasting legacy of a true Hollywood legend. At the time of his passing, McQueen's net worth was estimated at $30 million, which would amount to around $100 million today when adjusted for inflation. His wealth was primarily built on the back of an extraordinarily successful acting career. During his prime, he was one of the most sought-after and highest-paid actors in the world. For his role in the 1974 disaster epic, The Towering Inferno, McQueen earned an astonishing $12 million, equivalent to roughly $76 million today, cementing his position at the very top of Hollywood pay scale. In the late 1960s, his salary had already reached $1 million per film, about $8 to $10 million in today's terms. And by the early 1970s, he commanded $3 million per role, the equivalent of approximately $20 million today. McQueen's rise to fame began earlier with the television series Wanted, Dead or Alive, where he played bounty hunter Josh Randall from 1958 to 1961. This role not only brought him national recognition, but also set the stage for his blockbuster film career. Beyond acting, McQueen had a passion for speed and luxury that extended to his impressive personal collection of cars, motorcycles, and watches. He famously owned more than 100 motorcycles and a lineup of rare automobiles, including classics like the Porsche 911s, Jaguar XKSS, Ferrari 2550 GT Bonita Lusso, and Ford GT40. Today, his vehicles and memorabilia fetch extraordinary prices at auction, often well over $1 million per item, largely because of their association with McQueen himself. His love of timepieces also became part of his legacy. He owned dozens of high-end watches and had a long-standing relationship with Heuer, now known as Tag Heuer. Remarkably, the brand still pays his estate for the right to use his image in their advertising campaigns. One of the Monaco watches he famously wore in the 1971 film was sold at auction for over $2 million. Though McQueen didn't live to see the skyrocketing value of his personal collection, it has since significantly increased the wealth of his estate. Steve McQueen, born as Terrence Stephen McQueen on March 24, 1930 in the small town of Beech Grove, Indiana, would go on to become one of Hollywood's most iconic figures. His early life, however, was far from glamorous. Raised in a Roman Catholic household, McQueen spent much of his childhood with his maternal grandparents after his father, William, a barnstorming stunt pilot, abandoned the family just 6 months after meeting his mother, Julia, and unable to care for her son. Julia left young Steve with her parents, and he spent his early years growing up on their farm. When McQueen was 8 years old, his mother returned and brought him to Indianapolis to live with her and her new husband. Unfortunately, this move marked the beginning of a troubled period in his life. His stepfather was physically abusive, which drove McQueen to run away from home and survive on the streets. He began committing petty crimes, stealing here and there just to get by. His childhood became a cycle of instability as he drifted between living with his mother, returning to the farm, and spending time on the streets. Eventually, his mother, perhaps desperate for a solution, sent him to the California Youth Authority Reformatory in Chino. There, McQueen spent 18 months, an experience that, while difficult, would become a turning point in his young life. After leaving the reformatory, McQueen sought structure and purpose by joining the United States Marine Corps. Although he got into trouble early on, at one point being arrested for taking an unauthorized leave, he eventually dedicated himself fully to military life. His efforts paid off, and he served honorably until his discharge in 1950. With the help of the GI Bill, McQueen pursued acting, enrolling at Sanford Meisner's Neighborhood Playhouse and HB Studio in New York City. His days were filled with rigorous training, while his weekends were spent racing Harley-Davidson and Triumph motorcycles to earn extra income. McQueen's first acting opportunities came in the theater with supporting roles in plays like The Member of the Wedding and Peg My Heart. Driven by ambition, He relocated to California in 1955, placing himself closer to the heart of the film industry. His persistence paid off when he landed a role in the NBC Western series Tales of Wells Fargo, which opened the door to other television parts, including notable appearances in Wanted, Dead or Alive, and Tracked Down. His big break in Hollywood came thanks to none other than Frank Sinatra, who cast McQueen in the 1959 film Never So Few. The Magnificent Seven marked his first major film success, followed by the iconic The Great Escape in 1963, when McQueen's cool demeanor and daring motorcycle stunts captured the imagination of audiences worldwide. Throughout the 1960s, McQueen's career continued to ascend with roles in films like Love with the Proper Stranger, Nevada Smith, The Cincinnati Kid, and The Sand Pebbles, the latter earning him an Academy Award nomination, the only one of his career. In 1968, he delivered two more defining performances in Bullet, famous for its high-speed car chase through the streets of San Francisco, and The Thomas Crown Affair, further cementing his status as a box office star. By the early 1970s, McQueen had become the highest-paid actor in the world, especially after the success of The Getaway in 1972. Yet, at the peak of his fame, he made an unexpected decision. In 1974, McQueen stepped away from acting to focus on his passion for motorcycle racing and to enjoy a quieter life away from Hollywood's relentless spotlight. It wasn't until 1978 that McQueen returned to the screen with An Enemy of the People. He followed this comeback with two final films in 1980, the Western Tom Horn and The Hunter, in which he played a modern-day bounty hunter. These films would mark the end of his cinematic journey. But by then, Steve McQueen had already secured his place as a legendary figure in film history. With many achievements under his belt, he also owned several valuable properties that we're about to talk about next. Farm in Santa Paula, California. In 1979, at a time when Steve McQueen was searching for peace away from the glare of Hollywood, he and his partner Barbara Minty found their sanctuary in the quiet town of Santa Paula, California. Nestled about 2 hours northeast of Los Angeles, the property they chose was no ordinary retreat. Spanning over 15 acres of beautiful open land, the ranch offered McQueen the perfect escape from the fast-paced life of a movie star. It was a place where he could enjoy privacy, pursue his passions, and embrace a simpler, more grounded lifestyle. The ranch quickly became more than just a home. In 1980, the couple decided to make it official and exchanged their wedding vows right there in the living room of the house. It was a fitting setting for their intimate ceremony, a home that reflected their shared love for nature, adventure, and tranquility. The house itself was both charming and practical, designed with comfort in mind. Inside, the rooms were spacious and inviting, featuring warm wood finishes and elegant ceramic floors. The atmosphere of the home felt welcoming, cozy, and perfectly suited for modern living, yet it still maintained the rustic character of a countryside retreat. One of the standout features of the property was its impressive 4,500-foot hangar. For McQueen, a man famously passionate about speed and mechanics, this space was much more than just a storage area. It was a personal museum of sorts. Here he kept his prized collection of cars and motorcycles, a reflection of his lifelong fascination with powerful machines. From classic cars to vintage motorcycles, the collection represented years of dedication to his hobby, and the hangar gave him the perfect space to admire and care for these treasured possessions. Adding to the appeal of the ranch was its close proximity to the Santa Paula airport. This was a significant advantage for McQueen, who was not only a movie star, but also an accomplished pilot. He kept his beloved Stearman Model 75 biplane at the nearby airfield, allowing him the freedom to take to the skies whenever he pleased. Flying had always been one of his great passions, and living near the airport made it easy for him to continue enjoying this exhilarating pursuit. Abandoned house in Indiana, U.S. While McQueen's Hollywood success and glamorous lifestyle have been well documented, this quiet and mysterious house stands as a fading piece of his legacy, slowly disappearing from memory. According to several sources, Steve McQueen did at one point own this house in Indiana. However, the exact timeline of his ownership remains a mystery. Public records and official documents offer little clarity, leaving fans and historians to wonder how long McQueen called this property his own. Time has not been kind to the property. From a distance, it is clear that the house has been abandoned for many years. Nature has slowly reclaimed the land, with wild weeds and overgrown plants wrapping themselves around the exterior walls like an uninvited guest. The driveway is almost invisible beneath layers of dirt and creeping vegetation, as if nature itself is trying to erase a memory of what once stood proud. Inside, the scene is even more haunting. Any remaining furniture and belongings are buried under a heavy coat of dust, undisturbed for what seems like decades. The air is thick and stale, and the rooms feel frozen in time, as though they have been waiting in vain for their owner to return. The silence inside the house is almost overwhelming, broken only by the occasional creak of old floorboards or the sound of the wind slipping through gaps in the walls. For fans of Steve McQueen, this forgotten house is both a sad and fascinating reminder of the passage of time. Personal life. During his early days as an aspiring actor in New York City, McQueen crossed paths with British-American actress Gia Scala while studying at the prestigious Stella Adler Acting School. Their relationship was one of the first in a long series of romances that would shape McQueen's private life. But it was Filipino actress and dancer Neil Adams who would become his first wife. The couple married on November 2, 1956, and their union brought both joy and turbulence. Together they had 2 children, a daughter Terry Leslie, born in 1959, and a son Chad, born in 1960. Chad would later follow in his father's footsteps, carving out his own path as both an actor and a professional race car driver, a clear reflection of his father's influence. However, behind the scenes, the marriage was fraught with difficulties. Neela Adams revealed in her autobiography, My Husband, My Friend, that as their relationship deteriorated, she underwent an abortion in 1971. The couple eventually divorced on March 14, 1972, ending a marriage that had lasted over 15 years. McQueen's charm and rugged persona attracted many admirers. Hollywood legend Van Doren claimed to have had an affair with him in the late 1950s, sharing stories of wild adventures and experimenting with hallucinogens. Similarly, actress and model Lauren Hutton disclosed that she too had a romantic involvement with McQueen around 1964. In the early 1970s, while separated from Naya Adams, McQueen found companionship with Barbara Lee, his co-star from Junior Borna. Their relationship, too, became complicated, resulting in a pregnancy that ended in abortion. In July 1973, McQueen married once again, this time to actress Ali McGraw, his co-star in the crime thriller The Getaway. Their wedding took place in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and for a time, it seemed McQueen had found lasting happiness. Tragically, McGraw suffered a miscarriage during their marriage, a sorrowful event that added strain to their relationship. They eventually divorced in 1978. Despite the separation, those close to McQueen believed McGraw had been the true love of his life. Pat Johnson, McQueen's close friend and martial arts instructor, once remarked that McQueen was madly in love with her until the day he died. Later in life, McQueen found companionship once again. Less than a year before his death, he married fashion model Barbara Minty on January 16, 1980. In her book, Steve McQueen, The Last Mile, Minty revealed how McQueen experienced a powerful spiritual transformation during his final years. Raised Catholic, he turned to evangelical Christianity, influenced by his flight instructor Sammy Mason, Mason's son Pete, and Barbara herself. McQueen became an active member of Ventura Mission Church and even received a visit from famous evangelist Billy Graham shortly before his passing. Despite his spiritual awakening, McQueen continued to struggle with his personal demons. He was known for his strict exercise routine, dedicating 2 hours each day to fitness, including weightlifting and running up to 5 miles daily. He trained in the martial art of Tang Soo Do under 9th-degree black belt Patty Johnson. However, these healthy habits were often overshadowed by his addictions. According to photographer William Claxton, McQueen smoked marijuana nearly every day. Biographer Mark Elliott reported that he used large amounts of cocaine in the early 1970s. He was also a heavy cigarette smoker and at times drank excessively. His reckless behavior caught up with him in 1972 when he was arrested for drunk driving in Anchorage, Alaska. Illness and death. In early 1978, McQueen began to experience a persistent troubling cough. Hoping it was a passing issue, he quit smoking and followed courses of antibiotics. Yet, despite his efforts, his condition did not improve. His breathing became increasingly difficult, hinting at a much more serious problem lurking beneath the surface. The truth revealed itself in December 1979, shortly after he completed filming The Hunter, On December 22nd, doctors performed a biopsy which delivered devastating news. McQueen was diagnosed with pleural mesothelioma, a rare and aggressive form of cancer linked to asbestos exposure. At the time and even today, there is no known cure for this deadly disease. By February 1980, the cancer had spread throughout his body, a clear sign of widespread metastasis. Determined to maintain his privacy, McQueen tried to keep his condition out of the public eye. However, his secret was short-lived. On March 11, 1980, the National Enquirer broke the story, revealing to the world that McQueen had terminal cancer. With conventional medicine offering little hope, McQueen turned to alternative treatments in a desperate bid to prolong his life. In July 1980, he traveled to Rosarito Beach, Mexico, seeking the help of Dr. William Donald Kelly. Kelly's controversial treatments were a modified version of Gerson therapy and involved unconventional methods including coffee enemas, frequent shampooing, daily injections of fluids containing live animal cells, massages, and the use of laetrile, a drug banned in the United States but still available in Mexico. Kelly promised hope where others could not, claiming that his methods could achieve what traditional medicine had failed to do. McQueen paid dearly for this hope, reportedly spending over $40,000 per month, the equivalent of about $153,000 today, for Kelly's treatments during his 3-month stay. News of his decision caused a media storm with both mainstream and tabloid press eagerly covering the story. While some criticized the alternative methods, others admired McQueen's relentless will to fight no matter the odds. Returning to the United States in early October 1980, McQueen's health continued to deteriorate despite Kelly's optimistic public claims that the actor was on the verge of recovery. Tumors grew aggressively in his abdomen, causing him severe pain. In a final desperate effort, McQueen decided to undergo surgery in Mexico to remove one of the largest tumors, even though his American doctors had warned him that the tumor was inoperable and that his weakened heart might not survive the procedure. In late October, under the alias Samuel Shepard, McQueen checked into a small clinic in Ciudad Juarez, Mexico. The staff at the clinic were unaware of the true identity of their famous patient. On November 7, 1980, McQueen underwent surgery to remove or reduce tumors in his neck and abdomen. Tragically, less than 12 hours later at 3:45 a.m., he suffered a fatal heart attack. McQueen passed away at the age of 50, reportedly in his sleep with his family by his side. Following his death, a memorial service was held led by Leonard DeWitt of Ventura Mission Church, where McQueen had found comfort in his final months. Honoring his adventurous spirit, McQueen's remains were cremated and his ashes were scattered over the Pacific Ocean. Yet, even in death, McQueen's legend continued to grow. In 2007, nearly 3 decades after his passing, Forbes magazine reported that McQueen remained one of the highest-earning deceased celebrities, proving that his enduring appeal had not faded. That same year, he was inducted into the prestigious Great Western Performers Hall of Fame at the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum, a tribute to his unforgettable roles in Western films. By 2010, to celebrate what would have been McQueen's 80th birthday, the Beech Grove Public Library in Indiana, his birthplace dedicated the Steve McQueen Birthplace Collection, preserving his memory for future generations. Streets bearing his name can be found, such as in San Antonio, Texas, where his legacy continues to inspire. Recognition of McQueen's story did not stop there. In 2012, the Asbestos Disease Awareness Organization posthumously awarded him the Warren Zio Memorial Award, raising awareness of the dangers of asbestos exposure, the very cause of the disease that took his life. His life and passion for racing were further explored in the 2015 documentary Steve McQueen, The Man and Lemon, which revisited his relentless pursuit of the 1971 film Lemon. Featuring intimate interviews with his son Chad McQueen and ex-wife Nae Adams, the film offered new insights into McQueen's daring ambition and personal struggles. 2 years later, in 2017, Steve McQueen, American Icon, premiered in select theaters, offering an even deeper look into the actor's spiritual journey in his final years. Steve McQueen may have lost his battle with cancer, but he never lost his place in the hearts of his fans. His life story filled with adventure, defiance, and an unbreakable spirit continues to inspire millions around the world. To this day, the King of Cool lives on, not just in the films he left behind, but in the enduring impact of a life lived boldly right up to the very end. If you found this exploration of Steve McQueen's untold story captivating, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep the conversation going on this legendary figure who left an indelible mark on Hollywood and our hearts.